Welcome to another episode of Brothers, Battles, and Bounty, where family, business, and the journey to success intersect. I'm your host, Andreas, along with
Martin, Anton, Stefan.
In today's podcast, we are going to be talking about battles. So, I'm sure there's not much content here, right? I mean,
no, not much.
No?
I remember, I graduated in '89, as you guys know, and I just remember being dropped in to the mix because you were already in there. Anton, you were there. Stefan, you were there. It was like being dropped into the lion's den. I mean, I come out of school thinking I know what the hell I'm doing. I got my education to what I'm going to do. And I get dropped in, and it's like, what in the hell is this? Anton, you were the president, I believe.
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Not at that point in time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dad was still
had
the reins.
Had the reins, and I don't think he ever gave them up. But anyway, yes. So when you guys all of a sudden started coming in, I mean, there was all kinds of shifts. When you came in, I remember you were talking about becoming a lawyer, and all of a sudden, next thing I know, Tony comes in with you, and he goes, Andy's going to be working here, and he's going to take over your position as purchasing and admin. So teach him everything that you know. And I'm like, what?
That's right. I forgot about it. And then my office was in your office. We were in one office, and I was right there, and you were training.
Yeah. So I was training and that. So I'm going through all that, and it's like, okay, this is the way I'm doing it. Well, I got a better way. I go, well, just learn my way first, And it was like, oh my gosh.
Wait. I didn't say I got a better way. I said there is, dear brother, a better way of approaching.
Yeah. So,
as an outsider, that's not out way.
Yeah. Probably would make a great Saturday Night Live skit.
Yeah, it would. So anyways, yeah.
With an Excel spreadsheet, that one?
Yes, yeah, that was a lot. But you refined it. I didn't understand it at the time. But anyway, it was.
Wow, seriously, this is touching. I mean, I'm really, that you actually.
Don't start crying.
I actually might. This is
What year was that?
Good point.
This would have been
87, 88.
No, not 87. Would have been 88, 89, right in there.
Yeah, it was right in the time when I.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So right in there. So, Steve had come in, and we're starting to
I already
absorb
softened
that
him up
everything.
for a couple of years
did.
before you got there.
So then you came in, and it wasn't like, all right, this is how the organization, we're gonna get, there was no communication. It was just like, here it is.
I never knew your perspective on that. That's so crazy.
Yeah.
I've always just focused on what the experience it was like for me.
Well, you were thrown into it too.
Right.
It's like, here, this is what you're gonna do. So,
wow, that's crazy.
And you guys shared a 15 by 15 office together?
Yeah. It felt like 3 by 3.
And it wasn't so bad when he was eating his sardines and liverwurst sandwiches. That got a little brutal.
So that was dynamic. There was a big shift there. And then when Marty came in, he was pretty much, in the plant. He was going to be, because he had the education
I went and got my engineering degree specifically for the company to be out in the plant, it just, I came in, and I just remember the first meeting was going to be like, okay, I'm thinking we're going to be talking about, process flows and, product development. And I get in there, and the first thing we're doing, they're screaming and yelling. They're, F you, F this, shit getting thrown around.
Do you remember?
You don't get along with him. You need to talk to your brother. No, you need to talk to him. But I'm trying to talk, and I'm just like, what the hell is this? And I would just sit there, and I remember you guys would always be like, well, why the hell aren't you saying anything? And I'm like, I don't even know what the hell to say. They didn't teach me any of this in school. You guys are idiots. I don't know what's going on.
That's what drove us then. We realized we had to formalize. And we wanted to get the board of directors together. Whose position? We had the org chart then that we created. Who's going to be responsible for what?
But Dad was the one that was making those decisions.
Yes.
And right or wrong. Hey, he was the boss. I mean, he was driving the show at that time, and he was trying to do whatever he can to make it work. Because, I mean, the age. I mean, you two grew up together, so you had childhood things.
We're 3.5 years separate,
that percolated,
Yep.
in relationships. Now working in a business, Andy and I are separated, pretty far, not pretty far, but
From
what was it,
us,
12 years,
13
15
years,
13 years,
15.
and then coming in after. And I just remember, you being like, what the hell? I've been with Dad from the beginning. I busted my ass. I wasn't able to go to school. I had to buy my own clothes. I had to do all, I'm over there like, yeah, okay, yeah. But it was, I think about it now, and it's like, that shit was real. I mean, there was a lot of animosity there to like, these guys are just stepping in here. I worked my ass off to get here, and these guys just come in, they get an office, they're doing this, and, oh man, it was...
Keep in mind what you walked into. So May of 85, when I came in, we established our first 3-year plan. I called every customer, visited every customer. We had doubled our business in a 3.5, 4-year period of time. And what you were coming into was, a business going from $5 million a year to $10 million a year in a short period of time.
Like hyper growth, changing the systems.
And all that goes along with that, the changes, everybody kicking and screaming, dragging along the way. Okay, we transformed the company. Okay, and you came in. There was a lot. You and I, when I came in, I was focused on establishing a 3-year plan and getting our product out there.
You were very focused and stayed with it.
And my interaction was mostly with Dad. He was directing me in the sales end of it.
Yep.
And we had to interact, establish systems, processes, and procedures to manage and implement what was going on, which was your job. You were the executive VP operations guy. All the challenges,
the changes,
the changes and challenges, the pricing, the samples,
the conflicts.
you and I were doing.
It was just, it was all like emotional
You
stuff.
were feeling, Anton and I process opposite. And it took me 5 years to realize he wasn't messing with me. He just processed everything differently.
One thing I realized is, and I want to hear your point on this, is all the battles and the chaos and all the confrontation. One thing I realized right away was, all that existed and it was tough, but there was the arena for us to do battle in a way that was constructive. And what I mean specifically was, under Anton's leadership, he brought in the IBM AS400, a computer system that was state of the art. I mean, that thing was phenomenal. And that was the birth of concentrating, collecting data in a centralized database, building the bill of materials, the routings, all the intricacies of the business. So as far as he got it as the introduction, I remember looking at it and saying, oh my gosh, we got to start filling the stuff and doing all these things. And so that, what I'm trying to insinuate is, it provided the arena to do battle, and we did do battle, and but the battles, as I recollect, we're all going for the same direction, but how are we going to go there? That seemed to be...
We went to DePaul University and learned all the modules of the MRP system, 6, 7 different modules, capacity planning,
Who went there? Was you?
That was your baby.
Yes. The three of us went, and we all went to night class together.
Night classes, and it was for over a year and a half.
Well, we learned logistics. We learned MRP.
Inventory
we learned
control.
procurement. We learned inventory control. For the what was the
capacity
certification called? Oh my gosh.
Well, each one of them had it was a certification of MRP.
Right,
That was the overall. But then there was, I think, 6, 7 modules that were specific to the various pieces
When did
together.
when did you, I'm trying to think. See, I always thought like you were when I came in 89, I just thinking back, I always thought that Anton was the president at the time.
Executive
But-
VP. If I'm not
Executive
mistaken.
VP. I was
Executive
Dad. I was
So
Dad's
Dad was the
right-hand man.
president. But
He was the president.
your role, from what I remember, I mean, yeah, your title may have been executive VP, but I just remember
I remember
Anton was
saying
calling
that
the
you were in
shots.
charge.
You
When
were
I
calling the
came in,
shots.
you were
I
in
just
charge.
remember maybe you and Dad were in a
the message I
I
got.
was not in charge. I drove a lot of things and did things.
But that was my
But
understanding
when-
too. It's
Yeah.
interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
He then once we had to formalize. Okay, that's why we had the board of directors and different things, which drove us then to the point that he said, okay, all these guys are in here now. This is 1991 or so, 92, and I'm going to give out stock and all this stuff. You guys have been in
91 that he
in
did that?
91. Started gifting stock to us.
And I remember you were
And
pissed.
then, the reason I was pissed is because I didn't get any stock until you guys came in, and then the part came in. We're all going to make the same amount of money. Now, at first, that really pissed me off. It was like, what the hell? I've been here pretty close to almost, 18 years, and all of a sudden now we're all going to make the same amount of money. And it was we all started making the same amount of money after 2-3 years. In retrospect, that was one of the best things that
Interesting.
could have
Yeah.
happened and done. At the time,
It was not.
For me to digest that was really hard.
So
it was
this-
really
this-
difficult for me.
and-
This
and
medium,
that-
this medium of communicating these things and hearing your perspective about that, I was experiencing some of the your reaction to that, but I didn't know why or what. I mean, I remember there being kind of a chip on your shoulder. You're kind of pissed off, but. That's fascinating. Now it makes perfect sense. I'm surprised you weren't more pissed.
Then the next, it was I digested it. I just, because the Pope has spoken. That's the way it's going to be.
Well, elaborate
like
on
it or
that,
not. And that
yeah.
was many different things. So then he decided to he elected me as president. He didn't have a meeting with the board of directors and say, hey, guys, what do you guys think? You guys are now owners, and this is all in retrospect. Hey, what do you guys think? So he goes, no, you're the president. He elected without any input from the people who need to follow me. Okay. So anyways, that, and then all of a sudden by having that position, it was like, holy cow, it was no different. I could have ran it. But my challenge was I wanted now to really do a bunch of things, which I already did, but then I wanted to take it to another level of decisions. And Tony was going through his own.
He was talking about retiring
and he did not want to let go. And so he kept overriding my decisions. And I'd say, we'd have these arguments and he goes, nope, this is the way it is. And the Pope has spoken. No more conversation. It's over. And so I was kind of a seven.
There were a lot of conflicts with the managers there because it's like, okay, do we
Anton.
listen to Anton?
No, you listen to Tony.
Or do you listen to?
They knew to listen to Tony
Yeah,
because
right.
he was
Right.
right.
Asserted yourself pretty good, and you needed to. Okay, but he was he was selectively interacting in different
He
decisions.
didn't want to let go.
He didn't want to.
So I
How old would
think
he have
it's
been at the time?
Oh,
Let's see.
That's a great
29
question.
is when he
Great
was
question.
born. This was
Oh, you
90.
mean Dad? How old
Yeah,
was
Dad?
60?
He'd have been 60,
1929.
early 60s.
This would have been in 1991. So what is that?
It's like your age.
Yes, 59, 60. So a point that I wanted to make, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about this, is Dad was always, in my opinion, a warrior. He was one tough son of a bitch. I mean, he, no nonsense. When you say he made a decision, I mean, it was like a Thor's
a
hammer hitting. It wasn't it was Thor's hammer hitting the
No
table.
discussions.
Right. And if you were to consider confronting him, let's say you really had strong conviction about something, that was like a courageous act, to be able to address. And I'm now empathizing with you, which I've never even had this perspective before. You were coming of age yourself, a young leader, taking on the first role as president. He's just a beast of a man, entrepreneurial.
Been through it all.
And been through it all and literally grew up in the hard knocks. And his character was shaped by this anvil of life. And now handing this off, I mean, of course he had to feel something.
Then,
oh, my
then,
God.
And then
Oh, my
you
God.
had us three coming from the other side.
Yeah, all
you were in
those
the
things.
Marachi, baby.
And then
big
we had to
time.
move. We had to move our facility. We were in those two small facilities.
And you were in the midst of, and I don't know exactly when this happened, but you were in charge of setting up Dad's
Estate plan.
estate plan and his deferred compensation plan.
Oh, the deferred comp.
Because he's like,
yes.
I want this amount of money. This is what I need, and
And we're all
so
like, what
It was
how
a
is that gonna-
defined
benefit
plan.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
means
You pay it no matter
funded
what.
it no matter what.
Yeah.
You had to take money from wherever it
Right,
was,
yeah.
and you had to make sure every year that money was there.
So you know, in
Because he was always
hindsight,
worried
yeah.
about when he did retire. He was always worried about, hey, my check gonna clear this week?
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
make sure my
Well,
check. I
he
don't
was
care
good.
what's going. He was joking about
Yeah,
it,
of
but
course.
he would,
Yeah.
it was in the back of his mind because he saw what was going on when we first, took it over, and when he stepped out. If he left it, I mean, how many family businesses go to hell?
Man, I start thinking
most.
about all that.
Yeah,
I mean,
what is the statistic? They say the founder and then the family transition, the first generation. What is it? 50% fail, if not more. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Pretty close. And then after that, it's
then
even
after that,
higher.
it keeps getting worse. And I was just thinking, I'm emphasizing Dad's character and the strength. Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah,
I mean,
oh,
he
yeah.
was
Oh, yeah,
pretty.
he was-
yeah.
But he
you're
was
trying-
gentle.
you're trying to
he
explain
was
to
he was
me?
tough, but he was always
Yes.
very, especially with like the
Fair.
employees
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe not with us so much because he knew, we were
I
his
knew
kids.
he
and-
cared
but
about
He
us.
did, but he had to be tough with us.
Yeah.
With the employees, he was always very,
But
very
each one of
great
us.
guy.
My point is, each one of us acquired an element of that strength. And as I'm, watching you, I mean, I see you now too. As we all have that in us, and it was that kind of the tenacity that was
You got his
causing.
bulldog stuff.
Oh, yeah. Well,
You got the brunt. You
I got
literally got the
I
brunt.
made it easy for you.
You
guys.
actually
Yeah,
did,
I broke
Thank
them
you.
in.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. You chiseled
I
all
broke
the
the
scale off of him.
But
Go ahead.
just one thing I just
No,
want to
go.
before I get. So all this dynamic, all these changes, I had a hard time communicating. I didn't have the tools to communicate properly with you guys, and that's when I started researching to find out. Oh my God, how do I communicate better with these guys to become more effective as a team? As our board and as managers and different things, and came across the Family Business Council. And that was 100 family businesses that shared best practices, what to do, what not to do. And each one, all of us joined
But even
in
initially, that
became
was a
there.
conflict because Dad's like, we don't need to.
Well, yeah.
The fee that it cost, which
That's
was
too much
minuscule.
money, that's bullshit.
Right? He's
It's
like,
like-
well, you guys are that's wasting our time. Let's just have a meeting.
Because we did waste a lot of money and a lot of time on consultants and a behavioral therapists
that
or whatever the hell or
that
whatever
guy.
that
Yeah,
idiot's name was, but we
don't need to mention it, right?
So what's interesting, listen to you guys talk, the perspective that I had of Dad was a little bit different because we would travel together.
If you can just a
We
little
would
closer,
go-
Mike, because you have great things to share. We want to make sure we capture all of that.
We would travel together. Okay, so I got him out of the environment of the plant and all the challenges and struggles, and we would go and visit customers and prospects. And he loved getting out on the road. He was a great salesman. People loved him. Okay, because before I came on board, he would travel for a while after Bob Cleveland, his partner, was gone, and he appreciated what I was doing, and I appreciated what he needed
he
to
got the
focus.
name during that time of the Swivel Doctor.
Correct. It was a
A
marketing
marketing
we
thing
did.
during that time when he was on the road with you.
I still have the swivel Dr. Schmuck, by the way. But cool. I really
Schmuck,
do.
is that you say it's
It's a schmuck. What is it?
Yeah, it's
Okay,
like
schmuck.
a
Schmuck.
word.
Schmuck.
Yeah.
What do you call it?
No, it's it's a schmuck.
Yeah.
I at least like that word.
It's not a moo-moo. It's
So I recall he would do all the quoting and all the samples. And when he would travel, the whole thing, and his book was like this in 1985. And by 1987, his book was like this. He would get samples same day. He would get pricing same day. I mean, you asked him for something, he would
His
be
book,
on
oh
it.
my gosh, talk about his book.
He had notes on everything.
He wrote
everything.
You remember his?
I remember.
I mean, just ad nauseum detail. It was like
he wrote
a
down all the bill of materials
Bill-
and how much
everything.
steel and
We
how
did
much
that.
tubing.
the
You remember
thickness of the
Lotus?
steel and the yield.
Lotus 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
used to be all handwritten.
Yeah.
And then
You transferred it
I
into-
put it all into Lotus so that when a particular steel went up or ball bearings.
remember that
All
spreadsheet.
the different,
Holy crap,
all
yes.
the different models. We would hit the new price and all the formulas were in there. And it used to take us about a week to 10 days or more, 2 weeks to update it. And then we did it. I should have. Yeah, I should have sold it to him.
Another
yeah.
good dad
Good luck with
story.
that.
If you guys remember this dad story where he was working for Philip Sheet Metal Shop, he was the plant manager there, and he was unloading a truck, or checking what was going on in the truck, and his journal, his notebook, fell out of his pocket, and the owner, Philip, saw it, picked it up, and started looking through it, and he's going, "Hey, what the heck is this?" He goes, "That's my journal," and he was going through it and say, "What the hell? You wanna buy my business, or what do you want to do?" He goes, "No, I want to start my own business someday, so I don't have to work for you anymore." But he had journals on everything at a very
he wrote
early
everything
age,
down.
and I remember
control of it.
Philip, the owner of the company, questioning him, "What the heck is this?" You know,
So
of the dimensions and the weights and
yeah.
the
So do we have
packaging.
any recollection of what would be some of the epic battles? I mean,
Yeah. The biggest one was that I recall is just us all getting along. We had a hard time having one of us as our boss. And
Shift. It would shift.
it was like we could listen to Dad. We could listen to Dad tell us what to do. We took his, But then when Anton tried to do it, it was like, listen, dude, don't you freaking tell me what to do.
So
okay?
you had
If
that
you want this
experience?
done,
You
tell
already-
Dad to tell me to do it.
It was a brother dynamic.
and it was
Sibling rivalry.
It was sibling rivalry, but it was also just the chemistry
the
was
psychology of it.
it was, and for you thinking about it now, oh man, that had to have been so frustrating. Dad was trying to do his best, but he definitely was part of, not to his fault. He was trying to do, but man, that would, because I just remember you and Steve going at it. I just remember you and Andy going at it, and I would always just kind of sit back and
So
I'd be
you
like,
had the
I'm
same
the lover,
sense?
I'm not
Yeah,
the fighter. I
but-
got along. I tried to get along with all of you guys. I didn't want them. I didn't want to get any of the wrath that what I was witnessing. So you guys may have thought I was kind of like, sitting there not paying attention. Oh, you don't say anything.
The
You guys
baby.
remember it?
Oh, he's
You
the
guys
baby.
just did- But I tell you what, I
Little whiner.
absorbed everything
Yeah.
that happened in those times. And there isn't anything I could learn in school or anything. And what I learned in there was tough. But I'm telling you, it was.
So do you have
it
a
was-
nugget, a
just
boiled
the-
down the life lesson you learned from seeing these battles ensue in the?
Yeah, it's how you structure anything, whether it's a business, whether you're going on a vacation with friends, going fishing. We all know how that works. Everybody, let's do this, let's do that. No, let's do it. But having a structure and having somebody that everyone can rally around and not feel threatened or feel, somebody that you can rally around. That's a nugget I pulled out of that, because all the bullshit that was going on in there was just all like, I don't know. It
Epic
was
battle.
Yeah.
Pricing and service. My job was to be the voice of the customer, and Anton's job was to take care of the customer, but also implement what the customers were asking for. Pricing, availability, packaging, all the stuff. Epic battles.
Okay.
We would go to war, Anton and I, all the time on pricing and lead times.
So what about like the price is too high or the lead time's too long?
Well,
What kind of?
the prices in the 80s, 90s we were a commodity, and there were a lot of competitors, and people would be selling stuff for the cost, what it cost us to make them. And it was constant, just a constant battle. And we're trying to differentiate and you know, all the normal challenges sales and marketing people have. But you and I, okay, it was all about, hey, this is what I'm trying to do, and this is how we're trying to go.
I remember along
And it
those lines.
just was-
I remember
that's what we were screaming and yelling all the time
I
about.
remember one instance because I was traveling with you. You and I traveled in sales.
Tried to travel with you
And
guys.
we
really
went, it was the tilter.
Yeah.
We just came out with the tilt mechanism for the dining chairs. And we sat down, we're going to go to Stoneville, I think it was at the time.
Well, it's Douglas,
And
Stoneville.
all of them. But
Ace,
we had the
Chrome.
tilter. We came up with the price. We knew what the cost was. We get down, we visit all the customers, we're like, here's our price. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's great. Oh, yeah, we'll start ordering it. And then, and I don't know if you did it on purpose or you were just effing with Steve or what, but it's just, Anton's like, no, we can't sell for that. You got to tell them it's going to be, set
the
a
price changed.
The price changed.
It wasn't. I gave the price that we agreed to and went out in the marketplace, and then it changed.
Yep.
And then it changed.
And I just remember it was like, I remember being at the
He was
customer.
messing with me.
But it
He
happened.
was messing with
yeah,
me.
Oh, he definitely. I think he was. Because it happened while we were visiting the customer.
Right. Right.
I don't know if you remember. It was
Oh, yeah.
right as we're visiting the customer. And it's like, and Steve's like, I'm not giving him this new price. Well, I'm sticking to it. I'm like, ooh, shit, and then we got back and it was.
Well, we already
but so yeah,
communicated.
that was one I remember with
we
price.
So that is
lot of
an
price
epic.
increases,
But
changes, all
listening to
kinds
what
of
you're
stuff.
saying, Anton had all the numbers and the info, and as it was evolving on a regular basis, and it could have been like a steel increase.
Yeah, but he
Well,
was jabbing a little bit too.
I don't remember that. But anyway, I was trying to see if you could squeeze more out of it. But one of the key things that our communication piece that we came to, that we learned from the Family Business Council was, you talked about the hats, because we would talk to one another and we would mix up our roles of brothers and managers. And we never knew if we were being talked to or we were speaking from which side.
Or family.
Or family. So it became and then we would insult each other, piss each other off like we would like brothers.
Engage in battle to
Yes. So we would
resolve the issues.
We would insult each other. So
That's
then,
nice.
what I'd like to bring up is we had something that helped us call each other out when we were out of line with each other and using something emotional. And that would be our,
Pelican.
you wanted the, is it a pelican? Is that what that is?
Pink Pelican.
You want to toss that
Toss
pelican
it.
over here? Well,
Please.
anyway, so
There you go, bro.
we had this pelican.
And it's still here.
And
you know what? Wait,
he
I
was
think
the
this,
greatest
the Pelican might be
communicator for
a
us.
good one for another episode.
It is.
And
Could be.
so the pink pelican is symbolism of the great
Collaboration.
battles and collaboration, right? And I think certainly with that, I mean that's going to open a whole nother.
Yeah.
We
A whole
certainly
other
can
chapter,
address
yes.
that in a future episode.
Our
The
hero.
yes, our hero, well, the savior. Actually, that's
Savior.
fascinating.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, any closing comments? Wrapping up on the battles.
Just was, I think back on it and haven't thought about it in a long time. You think back on the stuff we went through, the battles we engaged in, serious ones, emotional battles are usually the hardest ones to overcome. Pricing, you just find better suppliers, but the emotional ones that we went through, just amazing that we did what we did.
Yeah.
The battles made us stronger and better.
Yeah,
better team.
I concur. I
we were
concur.
forged in fire.
Forged in fire. Yes,
Absolutely.
Steel
And,
sharpens steel.
I don't think I would ever want to change whatever happened, because it brought us to who we are right now and how we interact with each other. Without that, how would we be able to learn and become more effective?
And it's preparing us for where we're about to go.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Well, great. Thank you for listening. And for those of you who are watching, thank you for that as well. For listening to Brothers, Battles, and Bounty. In our next episode, we hope to continue to enrich your wisdom-enhancing pursuits, and we look forward to sharing more of our lives with you together. So please follow us on all the mediums that present podcasts, and we look forward to any feedback that you have. Thank you, and till next time.
Thank you.